Okay, so let's take a look at our diagram again and start discussing what we need to do to actually create the commands. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a command for this period, another command for this period, another command for this period. So we're going to have to set up a loop to go through that. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. I chose to just do a simple for loop. And since I chose that way, we're going to have to figure out how many periods there are. To figure that out, basically all you do is you take the total time span, which in my example is 145 milliseconds, divide it by the period, add 1, and then just take the integer value of that. Basically, we're just cutting off the decimals. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's create some space for ourselves. Now, in order to do these calculations, we do have to change this time span into milliseconds so that we can use it. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll create a double, and let's call this time left. And that is going to be equal to time span dot total milliseconds. Now that is converted to milliseconds for us. And then once we have that, we can create our count of periods. So that is also going to be a double. Actually, I'm sorry, we're going to make that an integer. So let's call this period count. Okay, and we said that was going to be the total time span, which is time left. We're going to divide it by the period and add 1. And then once we do that, we're just going to cast that to an integer value. Oh, and forgot the semicolon. And we're done. Now we have our period count. So let's take a look at our diagram again, see what else we need. Now, each iteration through the loop we're going to create, we also need to know how much of a drop-off we need of the fade value. Now, how you do that is you take the initial fade, or the initial level value that we had, and divide that by the total time divided by the time of each period. So let's go ahead and do that. It might make more sense once you see it actually come out. So this is going to be a double value. Let's just call this fade value. This is going to equal our initial level, which is level, and we're going to divide that by this. We want to be the integer value of the entire time, which is time left, divided by the period. Okay, and we need to cast this entire thing to a double value. So type in double there. Don't forget your semicolon at the end. Okay, so there we have it. We have our fade value. There are a couple more things that we're going to need to keep track of. Namely is we're going to have to keep track of the start time for each of these periods. For example, our first command is going to start at 0, and it's going to run for 25 milliseconds. So the next one, we're going to have to add 25 milliseconds to the start time. So that will be at 25, and that will run for another 25, and then 50, etc.